Okay, so welcome to Satsang. It's a last minute, I had forgotten to post the meeting. So, very lovely to be with you. So if you have any questions, I have a question from Anjin, but I will address that a little later, just to be together first.
Magdi, it's Esther.
Hello, Esther. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
What's coming to me to ask you is if you would simply speak to listening, living from a listening place, whatever comes to you to share.
Okay, yes. So it's very lovely when there is a listening with nothing in the way, sort of an open listening space. When we are with somebody and we are free of opinions, free of our judgments, it's sort of being, we are innocent, when we are transparent, when we are tranquil. It's very lovely to be with a friend that way. We don't enjoy so much being in a relationship where we have to sort of defend, argue, protect. So listening that is veiled, the listening that is without a listener. There is a listening where what is listening is the listening itself. Meaning the listening is not from a person or from a focal point. It is a listening space. Usually when we are listening, we come with all our beliefs, all our opinions, all our likes and dislikes. And this sort of listening is filtered through our judgment, filtered through our opinions, filtered through our beliefs. Our opinions about ourselves, our beliefs about the world, our beliefs about others, our memories. And this sort of listening is convoluted. It does not have the purity and the simplicity, the honesty and the purity of being. As you become more and more transparent, meaning as you become more and more established as consciousness, the opinions, the images, the beliefs that you have about yourself, about others, become more and more transparent. And the me impression, which is this bundle of thoughts and feelings, becomes quieter and quieter, less and less. And the listening, rather than coming from the bundle of thoughts and opinions, the listening becomes a broader sort of listening, a listening that has no listener. It's a listening that is void of the subject and object dichotomy. So rather than me doing the listening, it is the entire space is a listening space. And because there isn't an individual or a person or a character that is doing the listening, there is a complete absence of effort, and there is a fluidity of listening, like the fluidity of the movement of the waves on the surface of the ocean, or like the fluidity of the movement of the leaves as the wind is blowing through the prairie, through the forest. So for this sort of listening, it is important to relax and release the past, our knowledge, our ideas, and to be free from seeking any goal. We're not trying to convince anybody of anything. We're not listening in order to attain anything. We're not listening in order to approve or disapprove. The listening is sort of a sinking in into the listening, a resting as the listening that is complete and sufficient in this very instant. That is not an instant in time. So it's a listening that is not seeking any knowing, that is not seeking anything, that is not in time. It's not a listening via thought, because that would be thinking. It's a listening that precedes thinking, that precedes the impression of time, that is beyond, that is outside of the impression of time. And it's a listening that is complete unto itself. So if there is a question within the listening, there is the question and the answer. And via thinking, there is a movement away from the question and away from the answer. And because the listening is free from any agenda, has no personal intent, it has the quality of peace, meeting together as one. And that is what love is the celebration of our oneness, where the two or the many dissolve in the oneness. Recognize is a recognition, a living recognition, a lived recognition of the oneness, of the non-dual beingness. So when we are listening, can we listen not just to what is being listened to, but also to what is arising within us? And to listen freshly, without the past, without the future, as if birth and death are occurring simultaneously in the listening. We are never listening to anything that is outside of us. Listening is an expression of the intimacy of being, where the listened to and the listening come together as one. What is being listened and what is listening, they meet in the listening. The one in the listening is the intimacy of listening. The intimacy of listening is the recognition of the oneness, of the wholeness, of the non-dual nature of the listened to, the listener as the listening. So as we are listening, in fact, listening to ourself, the listening is as intimate as our night dreams are intimate with the dreamer of these dreams. So the listening is listening to what we already are, and we know what we already are as we are that. So the listening, within the listening, there is a recognition of the wholeness of being, of the non-dual nature of being. So listening and knowing are one and the same, because within the listening there is the knowing, as we are the listening and we are the knowing of the listened, or we are the knowing of the listening. So listening is an open field, a clear field of listening, which is the clear field of awareness, of consciousness. Awareness, which is knowingness, is also the listening. Sometimes we speak of the witnessing. But it's a listening, witnessing without a listener and without a witnesser. And what we are listening to is consciousness. And what is listening is consciousness. And that's an important recognition, which is quite different from listening to somebody or to something, and the listener is me, a man or a woman. There's only one true listener, which is consciousness. One true listening, which is consciousness. And whatever is listened to, whatever is listened, is consciousness. The labeling and the thinking comes afterwards. The thinking, the categorizing, the classifying, the conceptualizing comes afterwards. And it may or may not be necessary. Okay, Esther?
Thanks, Magdi. It's like that is what satsang is to me. You're just what you just shared is what satsang is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. 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 Yes, that's the heart of satsang. Hello, Ananda. Ananda, you're right. My usual mode is pretty laid back, but I have had an impatient element in my persona all along. So, waiting without waiting, which is related to listening, seems like the resolution of most of my issues, waiting without waiting. If there is that fundamental patience, it seems the aspect of listening you spoke of sort of come online naturally.
know it's a lot deeper than just the usual idea of patience. You know, somehow what you were talking about was so exquisitely non-dual, and so it's not somebody being patient. I see that, but it's going from the idea of a person that's sort of wanting, wanting something, wanting things to happen next or evolve or something. It's almost like if that drops away, there's no there's no framework that I'm used to, which, could be great.
So when there is a waiting without waiting, I know that I think Jean-Claude used some similar terminology, but the question arises, what is it that is waiting, or what is it that is waiting without waiting, and what is it waiting without waiting for? For what? Because in fact, in our experience, we need to look deeply at that. There is nothing lacking. There may be a thought that arises that says, well, it would be nice to have this or to experience that. But the thought that says that something is lacking is not sufficient evidence. It's not a good candidate to rely on in order to establish that in fact there is something lacking. Because thought doesn't know. Thought is completely drunk and foolish. It's on very, very strong drugs. It's completely chaotic.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, thought doesn't know you. It doesn't know. It is complete ignorance. It's inert. It's an object. It's a form. It's like a cloud that has the shape of an angel. You say, oh, there is an angel, but in fact, no. It's just a cloud. You go to the cloud, there is no angel. So, in our experience, you have to distinguish between thought, thinking, what thought says, and what your experience says. And your experience is very clear.
Mm-hmm.
There is no time. There is no a minute from now. We never experience a minute from now. We never experience a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's our experience. But waking, even when we say waiting without waiting, it's just to say waiting, just to start with waiting.
Yeah.
That implies already that there is time and there is somebody that is waiting. If some subject is waiting for some experience or some situation or something. And already we know there is no time from our experience, so already there is some sort of ignorance in waiting. And then when you look at the impression that is within waiting, that there is somebody, and you look for this somebody, you don't find somebody. You only find a thought that says, oh yeah, there is somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, like the thought that says there is tomorrow, and the thought there is somebody is the same thought that that says there are, blue dragons with angel wings that are flying all over your living room.
Right, the same thinking process.
Yes.
I like that. I like that idea that the thinking isn't the good witness, put on the witness stand
Yeah.
to tell you about reality.
No, it's the biggest. You grab somebody who's completely had like 10 liters of vodka and put him on the and it says, "Hey, did you see this victim before?" They say, "Oh yeah, Charlemagne with a big golden crown and rubies," right? So you say that that you're usually laid back, but you had some impatient element in your persona all along. The impatience that we feel, that we experience, is part of the calling that we experience towards returning to our wholeness, returning to our non-dual reality,
Mm-hmm.
because the having believed thought that says I am born, therefore that I am a male or a female form, having believed that thought, there is a feeling of separation that we experience, and there is some angst and irritation and
Right.
patience with that.
Right.
That, like, please make me whole. Just
Yes.
get rid of this, and this is what we're doing in satsang, and of course how you live. If you live your understanding in satsang, that's what we are doing. We are going to the core of that impatience, to the core of that sense of angst and lack and incompleteness, to look really closely and to come to the understanding that this illusion is just maintained via our belief structures and via feeling that there is something wrong, and the me feeling, and that via our contemplation we realize that the reality of my experience is not that I am a person, but that I refers to consciousness. That is my experience.
Mhm.
I is not a male or female, has no age, has no gender, has no size. It's not born, it's not dying, it's not dead. That's the understanding we come in our contemplation, in our higher reasoning. And also, when we take the sense of me and we go to the sensation, we realize that the sensation, before it is labeled, before it is known, is some energetic field that is arising in the space of our bodily awareness, which is infinite body, cosmic body. And at the feeling level, we realize that there really nothing that is bottled up, that is being bottled, truly contracted. That it's all energetic vibration that has no borders, and that the body structure is maintained via contractions that are nothing more than held on, than vibrations that we're resisting to relax our our impressions in the body. We can relax contractions, meaning relaxing, meaning recognizing that the holding is imaginary, the contracting is imaginary. It's an imaginary contraction. And that the true nature of that sensation is freedom. So it's an effortless release. It's not a release that you do with some effort. In this release, there is a recognition that, wait, it's this vibration, this feeling, this me sense. I really don't know it. And when I go to it, I'm not sure what it is. And I'm not sure where it's arising, and I don't see any borders, I don't see any walls, any windows, any borders. And I just relax in this recognition.
Right. So there's sensations, then there's a conceptual straitjacket or a Iron Maiden or something put on the on feelings, making them seem like something heavy, something that I'm carrying around.
Yes, they are made worse. You know, the feelings, the emotions are made worse when we are struggling with them, when we want to get rid of them. The more we want to get rid of them, the more we want to fix them, the more they root. They sort of push back. Because they're not real. They're made up of your pushing. The more you're pushing to get rid of them, or to ignore them, or to sweep them under the carpet, the more you have feels that there is a pushback. But in fact, there is no pushback. It is your very pushing that is the pushback.
Yeah, like colloidal material. You have to put pressure on it for it to maintain its shape. As soon as you let the pressure, it oozes out into nothing.
Yes, right. Yes.
Oh, there's so many beautiful insights whenever we talk. One thing I wanted to say about the waiting without waiting is that what I took it to be, I guess, what John Klein, I thought he meant was a kind of anticipation for total freedom or something. If you're contemplating, it's a kind of openness or something, like listening too. It's kind of like you're listening because you're interested, because it's something like that, but without the waiting of time and
So yeah, I like the being open to you're being open without waiting. Being open is in a way, you cannot be open without, at some level, a recognition that there is already openness, that there is openness. Because otherwise, being open is doing nothing. It has to have a connection. Being open has to have some connection with openness. Otherwise, it would be nothing. So within being open there's already an openness. So when you say yes, you already, as you're saying yes, there is a recognition of the openness.
Yeah.
Like you say yes, and then later on, somehow, it's an immediate, a simultaneous saying yes and a recognition of the yes. So when you say yes to the openness, there is a recognition of the openness that is. So rather than waiting without waiting, we say yes to grace. We say yes to grace. And when we say yes to grace, in fact, it is grace that is saying yes through us. It is grace that is saying yes through us. And in that, there is no waiting, because grace doesn't wait. When grace says yes through us, it's done. It's expressing love. Then the mind comes on board and says, now this sort of, we move away from grace. We say, well, okay, well, when will I be like Jean Klein, when will ... you say. But it's important to make a distinction between mind, between thought that comes and creates a story about me in time, and Grace saying yes.
Right.
So the thing is, when Grace say yes to happiness, yes to beauty, yes to the self, something else comes on board and says no. Something else comes on board and says, well, no, I want it. She's got it. I had it yesterday. I had it in 1973. I want it again now. That is saying no. So Grace says yes through us, and we say, oh, I say yes. I'm a truth lover. I say yes. But in fact, I am tapping my fingers and when am I going to get the goodies? You see? And that we don't want to look at that. We don't want to look at that. We only want to look at, oh yeah, I already said yes to Grace. But on the other side, we don't want to look at, hey, God, when is God going to come and deliver the goods? They're two different. They're one is ignorance, and one is complete fulfillment.
It's like giving a contracted. It's like I'm going to give it a pass. Some contracted.
Give it a pass.
Yeah, PASS. Yeah, like, oh yeah, you're so familiar. You're so familiar, so integral to who I am. You don't really get questioned, so that your impetuosity is still in play or something. Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure I fully understood, but the recognition of the transparency of being, meaning what truly perceives right now is effortless presence, knowingness, perceiving, knowing itself. There's nothing in the way. No, it has no divisions. It's not divided in 4 or in 6 or in 2. That is grace recognizing itself.
I just have one more thing. When thought is trying to tell me something, and like you've been saying, thought doesn't even know me. So who's it talking to? Who's that thought talking to?
It's not talking to, it's you talking to yourself.
Yeah, so it's
you lying to yourself. How about that? You cheating yourself.
Cheating
yourself. Tricking yourself.
Oh, tricking. Yeah.
Tricking yourself.
Yeah.
You're tricking yourself.
It's like a little storyline goes on, and then it's like the idea of me who to whom it applies is just part and parcel of a imaginary scenario.
Well, once you start listening to thought, you're in la la land. I mean, you're trying to figure out what thought is saying. You're trying to find order within thought. If that's what you're trying to do, I would say don't spend too much time on it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all these major building blocks of a, like you said, male or female, birth and death. These major building block ideas seem to be,
when you take the white light and you running through a prism,
Mm-hmm.
and it divides in colors.
Mm-hmm.
How many colors do you have?
Yeah, well, if you kind of watch carefully, it's infinite. Yeah.
That's how thought is.
Mm.
When reality shines through the prism of the mind,
Uh-huh.
is the infinite phenomenal realm.
Uh-huh.
Infinite myriad thoughts, appearances, sensations.
Mm.
Important is for you to realize the one light,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and not to figure out the myriad manifestations.
Mm-hmm.
There's infinite potential of God, infinite creativity of God, and the order that you find, for example, in the atom, there is a
Mm-hmm.
certain order, a certain energetic order. That order is just but an infinitesimal expression of
Mm.
infinite order of consciousness.
Mm.
Infinite order of consciousness is absolute. There is no such thing as disorder within.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
The order and disorder
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is at the mind level. In fact, there is no disorder. It is just a thought that says there is disorder. Because in the realm of manifestation, it is also there is also the order, the the uh, the mini clone of the order of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
is in the infinite realm of manifestation. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, when the white light goes through the prism
Mm.
and it tracks into infinite um, uh, 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 vibrations, within every one of these vibrations, which are infinite, is the white light, is the vibration of the white
Mm-hmm.
light.
Yeah. I heard something. I read something recently that this relates a whole lot to it. It was somebody saying that the whole idea of the chakras, you know,
Of the what?
the chakras, like the chakras, that there's a time when it would be like connecting with the white light or knowing the white light where there are no chakras. That's a fascination with the post prismatic display, and now I have chakras, and now I have.
Yes, it's very similar. It's very similar in that, the white light diffracts into the chakras, that all the chakras refer to the white light.
Yeah.
So in awakening to the self, in the direct path, you don't travel through chakra.
And contemplate which direction it's spinning.
Exactly, straight through to the light.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. So just one more thing I just wanted to say, because you didn't quite catch what I was saying, and because it helps me understand the whole thing, is that if it's almost like having a fondness for certain contractions or certain ideations and saying, when I said I'll give this one a pass, you know,
It passes. Can you explain to me what it
pass, meaning like I caught you running the red light, but I'll let you go.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
You're
I forgive you. I let you go by. Okay.
And so certain elements like that that somehow seem to still be important or integral or define me, something that I would say, if somebody said, well, what's your persona, what's your character, and I'd go, oh, this something. And then I would not let it dissolve. Then it doesn't dissolve into the spaciousness that you've been talking about, that sees through everything. I don't know.
What is your question? Because I'm still missing
Yeah, the point of it. Yeah.
the question, if there is any. Like, can you say?
Well, there's a kind of fun. Okay, here's the nub of it. If I find a kind of fondness for something that I take to be my personality,
Yes.
I mean, we have it even when we actually get a chance to be together. It's like we laugh about these things because it's like, show me the confection case, or show me.
So when you have a fondness for a certain aspect of your personality, yes.
Then it seems like an anchor place against spaciousness, a mooring against the
Okay.
great spaciousness.
Okay, I understand that.
And at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's necessary to push away all those personality aspects either.
Well, as long as you know yourself to be what you truly are, which is not a personal self,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any problem with personality or non-personality or fondness or non-fondness, as long as my knowingness of myself does not get diverted, does not get hijacked by my fondness for certain aspects of my personality,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the personality, whatever, of the body mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What matters is that whatever you experience
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take you away from your self-knowingness.
Right.
And you know that an experience or a thought or a certain fondness that you have is taking you away from your self-knowingness because it will leave a residue in your body. You will feel a certain, a certain veil, a certain,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even maybe a finite angst.
Yes.
You will sense it.
Yes, I know. I get what you're saying there. Yeah.
And you may find that thoughts are starting to spin.
Mm-hmm.
Some feelings will start to arise. These are indications that whatever you are looking at,
Mm-hmm.
whatever thoughts are rising to you, or whatever fondness you're experiencing, that it is taking you away from your knowingness.
Mm-hmm.
And your self-knowingness, you know it as the peace,
Mm-hmm.
the unshakable. It's a peace that is not dependent on anything. It's you know it as that is untouched, unmoved, unborn. Yes, know yourself as the peace of being. So as long as whatever you experience is not taking you into feeling and the thinking and the ignorance and the identification, then all is well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Now, if you're trying to think your way around,
Mm-hmm.
well, but this, I don't need to get rid of that, and I need to get rid of this, and so on. Well, that doesn't matter. You don't need to get rid of anything as long as, or you need to add anything. You don't need to do anything as long as your self-knowingness isn't being hijacked or isn't being
Mm-hmm.
moved off kilter.
Yeah.
And no amount of thinking can bring you back to the peace. only the peace can bring you back to the peace. And the peace is not in the thinking. The peace is in the stillness, is in the silence, is in the presence, is in the looking at the source looking at itself.
I can't tell you how valuable it is to be able to just run down these little loose threads or whatever they are, you know, and leave.
It's a gift from consciousness. It is your own calling, your love for truth. Brings you to the truth, brings the truth to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ananda. There is a question that Anjin sent me, and I would like to answer it now. So Anjin writes, I will plan to watch the satsang in 2 hours from now. Here is a question. I read some while back in your post titled Dying Before the Body Dies, where you talked about meeting your Karana Guru, who ends the me impression once and for all. This post has intrigued me ever since. Does this person help to remove the last of the samsaras with the help of divine grace? What did you mean by people will be drawn to you and will merge into you? Is this merging into the one? I mean, is it some kind of experience or a realization? Or how does it look? Thank you for addressing this. So, in our contemplation of truth, our contemplation of the self, our contemplation of the reality of consciousness, the journey is from the me impression, meaning the belief and the feeling that I am born, that I am a person, that I am a man and a woman that exists in time and space. It's a journey from that me impression to the self. And this journey is via higher reasoning, via the contemplation of and the inquiry into the belief structures, the belief that I am born, the inquiry into what am I truly, what is consciousness, and the contemplation of the me feelings, which are the yogas to release the me feelings out of the body. So it's a journey from the me impression via higher reasoning and yogas to the self. And this journey to the self is not a conceptual journey, it's a complete journey where you start with the me impression, I am the body mind, and you end with I am the self, all is the self. It's only one reality. That reality is the self. The impression that I am the body mind, that I am a personal self, is a birth of the me. And the revelation of the self is the death of the me. At some point in your journey, you have to go through the gate of death. And I'm not talking about the death of the body, or the death of thought, or the death of a form, but the death of the me. Because in fact, there is no birth and death. That is a mental realm, the mental realm of birth and death. No one has ever experienced their birth or their death. So the journey is from birth to the death of the me. And this dying before the death, or which how did I title it? Dying before the body dies, is the merging into the self. And in your journey, your spiritual journey, you meet various teachers and various experiences that teach you. Life is teacher, and also you meet some light, some teachers that can help you along the way. Maybe you may have a few mentors, but you will find that you work with a teacher for a certain while, then you move on into whatever happens in your life, and then you may find yourself with another teacher. And sooner or later, you will meet the teacher that is the end of all teachers, the end of the student and the end of the teacher. Keep in mind that the teacher is not a person. Appears as a person to the senses. The mind perceives a person, but the teacher is the self. It is grace that is revealing itself via a certain form, responding to your calling, which is also, your calling is also via grace. At some moment, you will meet your final teacher, which is referred to as the Sat Guru in the Indian tradition. There are previous teachers that have partial understandings that or serve a partial function for you to take you to the next phase of your journey. But your Sadguru ends your journey. You merge into the teacher and the student become one, and there is no more teacher or student. It's just lovely friends, and the self is realized. There are quite a few people, I'm going on a parenthesis, tangent, there are quite a few people who have a resistance to that. And they speak of some sort of goal, or this is just all mind. That they speak of the final attainment, the final realization of the self as it's all mind. this ego, because they have not yet ripened to that understanding. The students who come to the teacher who is in full establishment of the self are the ones that stay around this teacher, are ripe for, like the fruit ripe to fall off the tree. And the teacher is like the wind that blows through the orchard, and the ripe fruit falls off the tree. So you ask Anjin, does this person, the guru is not a person, huh? Guru is the self. So does the guru help to remove the last of the samsaras with the help of divine grace? The guru is divine grace, and yes, the guru helps the student to free themselves from the last ignorance. There are some students who come and they need to stay with the guru for a while, because they still have quite a few vasanas to release, and others are really ripe and they just come to the teacher and they are done with their journey very quickly. That is more rare than frequent. You ask, what did you mean by people will be drawn to you and will merge into you? Well, the truth lover is drawn to truth. So the truth lover is drawn to the guru, to truth, and they will merge in the guru, meaning that their me impression, the entire me structure, will dissolve as they come to the guru. It may not dissolve right away, but it will be a process of dissolution, more or less quick, depending on where the student is at. It's like when galaxies get close to a black hole, they are drawn towards the black hole. The galaxies that are closer to the edge of the black hole are drawn very quickly into the black hole, and the galaxies that are still millions of light years away, although they are drawn towards the black hole, they will take a little while to get to dissolve in the black hole. Is this merging into the one? Yes, there is only one merging, which is the merging into the wholeness of being, which is the recognition that there is no separation, that I refers to everything and everyone. And in this merging, you can no longer separate anything out of yourself. It's just impossible. There is no possibility for separation anymore. It's just not possible. And yes, it is emerging into the one. Then you ask, I mean, is it some kind of experience or realization? Or how does it look? It's a silent recognition. Absolute knowingness is silent. Absolute knowingness of the I am. The recognition of the no return. the end of the cycle of birth and death. Okay, Anjin. So any question, anyone?
Magdi?
Yes. Hello, Zoe.
Hi. Oh, this is beautiful. And I was just about to listen to my question to you last Thursday again, but since I have you here now, okay, I'd like more clarification.
Yes.
So if the ultimate reality is no separation, then why wouldn't I experience what others are experiencing?
Right.
And you explained this sort of with this metaphor about an electric grid, but there, yeah, something just keeps coming up for me about that.
Mhm. Zoe, we are open to the understanding that although we experienced breakfast last Tuesday, although we were there, experienced the breakfast, we don't recollect. We don't recollect what we experienced, what we ate, right?
Right. Okay.
Or if you experienced 3 months ago having conversation with a friend, although in fact you did experience that conversation, you don't remember it. You don't know what exact words you said, right?
Right. Okay.
So we have no issue with that. We have no issue that although we experienced an event in time, we don't recollect it, but we did experience it across time. Because yesterday or a month ago, 3 months ago, that's time, right?
Mm.
So we did experience all these experiences throughout time, but we don't remember them. Now, consider space. That you're experiencing something in space here, and you're experiencing something in space somewhere else. There's no time. Now we're moving away from time, going into space. You're experiencing something in another space. Your question is, how come I don't know, or I don't remember what is being experienced downtown New Delhi right now
Right. Okay.
in
Yeah.
fourth floor of, building so and so, apartment so and so.
Yes.
We're okay with the fact that we can experience across time and not remember it. And I'm inviting you to consider that in space, we don't remember does not mean that we're not there.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
Just time and space, yes? I mean, the time and space, the four Cartesian spaces. Now, let me propose another argument. If you remembered everything that you experienced over the past 4 hours, and all these memories were here right now, you would need some sedatives, because
I
you
would what?
a sedative. You
Oh,
would,
right. Okay.
you would
Yeah.
need some medication, because you would be a basket case.
Okay.
Imagine if you remember everything over the past week and everything you're remembering it right now.
Okay.
I don't
So
think
it's a gift.
I don't think you could live. You know, the body.
Right.
We couldn't have this conversation. Now,
Okay. Yeah.
also,
Well, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I'm just sharing with you different tools that may help you in your question.
Well, that the whole thing about space really made an impact too. And yeah, and time, not remembering what I did, 5 days ago or 5 minutes ago, and being okay with that. And even the example of the white light going through the prism, it's like the when it diffracts into all these other colors, um, I don't know, somehow seeing that image did something where it was just like, okay, well, those colors all have to do that. There's like some physical law that keeps it the way it is, keeps me from experiencing absolutely everything that's going on in this body mind. But then my mind goes, but that's all mental, and the body doesn't exist and the mind doesn't exist, right?
Well, there is only one reality. There aren't numerous realities. There aren't numerous existences. There is only one reality. And it is this one reality that dreams all the dreams. In other words, in your night dream, you may dream of 100 people, but you remain Zoe. You're not actually all these people. They're all the scenes, all what you perceive in your night dream are subject to the one reality, which is the dreamer. I'm just using it as a metaphor. The dreamer, it refers to consciousness, and the night dreams refer to the world, body, mind. So there is only one reality, which is consciousness. But consciousness loves to play. And there is the play of the lila play, the appearance, the colors, the shapes, the shades, the movement, the light, this, the cherry blossoms. Yes?
Yes. Magdi, what comes up is, well, what do you experience?
I experience peace.
And that's what I was thinking. Is like, because all of these are appearances that are just made out of this one reality that's just pure love and peace and all the qualities that you talk about.
Yes.
So all of that just dissolves, and then there's just peace and love and beauty experienced.
Yes. When the self recognizes itself, meaning when ignorance, meaning believing yourself to be a woman, dissolves, when the belief that I'm born, that I'm a body mind dissolves, then there is the light of wisdom, the light of the self, and it shines onto the world as beauty.
And in a sense, then you are experiencing everything, because everything is just love.
Yes, I think.
Is that right?
Just to sort of say a little bit more about it, the self experiences the world as beauty, experiences
Okay.
relationship and the heart as love, and experiences the mind as wisdom and clarity,
Wow.
experiences the body as vastness and borderless transparency.
Wow. You know, because I was thinking, even sitting with you over the internet, there's, you know, it's like this visceral experience, like my body just expands much more quickly. And um yeah, anyway.
Yes, because what is transmitted is not just image or words. There is the self transmits itself. And in today's ways it does so is in these sorts of meetings on the internet. But thought, thought that created internet, where did that thought come from?
Mm.
We don't think our thoughts, we perceive them. They arise from beyond, they arise from consciousness. We perceive them and our actions follow those thoughts. So we are following consciousness, and the virus in this entire realm is that there is no such thing as consciousness. It is me, this man, that is thinking these thoughts.
Yeah, I really appreciated when you spoke about how the truth lover really starts to see the me impression, like that idling in the background. There it is, and it comes up, and it's really felt.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes. So there was something else I wanted to share, but it will come up another time.
Okay, thank you.
Ananda, you write body mind and its dreaming, its imaginations is inherently limited because we are having discussion via the medium of bodies and minds. Isn't there a sort of amalgam of person and consciousness? Ananda, in your writing, you write here body mind and its dreaming, its imaginations. Body minds do not dream. Body minds do not imagine. Body minds are dreamt and are imagined. There is only one dreamer, one imaginer, and that is God. That is consciousness. That is the infinity of being. Yes. Because we are having discussion via this medium of bodies and minds. No, we are not having a discussion via bodies and minds. We are having a direct consciousness speaking to consciousness, consciousness being itself, recognizing itself. The speaking is a download. When you're calling it speaking, you have moved away from truth and you have gone into the conceptual. There is no speaking.
Mm.
You have to go to pre-speaking.
Mm. So the appearances of phenomenal appearance, I'll call it,
That is thought.
is, as you were just saying, it's very poetically, because there's no other way to say it, maybe, that it's sage sees the world as beauty and feels the interactions as love and stuff like that.
Yes.
So these sense impressions really are just sort of a phantasmagorical or an expression of that one thing, of the one thing, of the one light.
Go to any sense impression right now.
Okay. Body on the chair, I feel quite.
Okay. So you go to sensation of your back on the chair. Now you remove the label back and you remove the concept chair. You go into the sensation without the concept front, without the concept back.
It becomes more awareness without a story as soon as I do that exercise.
Yes. That sensation, you go to the sensation. It has no particular shape, no particular color or size or density. In fact, when we remove the concepts, it even has no place, no location. And it has no borders. No, it has no name. And then you turn your attention to the sensation and the knowing of the sensation are one. That this sensation and it is not separate from its knowingness, the knowingness of it. And the knowingness of this sensation has no name like the sensation. It has no form, no shape. But yet there is a knowingness of the sensation. We're using the word sensation, but it's really nameless, wordless. And we call this knowingness I. Just a common convention. So the sensation, the knowingness of the sensation, I, it's one, nameless, wordless, genderless, locationless. no mind, no thought, no. So what conversation are we having? Who's having conversation? What conversation? We could say that we're recognizing the self, we're recognizing the peace, we're recognizing I is recognizing itself.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-verbal, pre-mental, pre-conceptual, pre-mind.
Mm.
And we recognize also the peace of being. You follow, yes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm picturing it, I mean, I'm seeing it as a little bit analogy to an artist. The artist is throwing color on the paper after, I mean, it's coming out of pure creativity or something like that.
Yes. Yes. When God's hand is painting through your hand, it's art. But when you are painting through the person's hand, it's ignorance and unhappiness. Okay, well, very beautiful to be with you all. Thank you very much for your love and your friendship. See you soon. Yes? Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.